Hey, well, good afternoon and welcome to Prepping for Prosperity. How are you all today? I hope you're busily building your businesses because remember, that is your engine of wealth, engine of prosperity. And as we come into interesting times here, it's going to be more important than ever before. Pretty much all the people who are thinking believe that the next 12 months is going to be challenging, to say the least. The Fed keeps raising rates, not a lot, but a little bit. They're wanting to slow down inflation. It's putting the brakes on an economy that is already all over the board. Okay, because people aren't doing. The economy can look like it's doing well in one sector, but people aren't doing well, and when you look at your own life, it's getting tougher, isn't it? What you're paying at the grocery store, what you're paying at the gas pumps. My 16-year-old son just told me today, Dad, gas is getting higher again. Yeah, it's going to get higher again because we're coming to the summer driving season, and they're going to bump it up on you, and they're going to have all sorts of excuses, and it doesn't matter. And some are reasons, and some are excuses. There are good reasons, and then there's profit, which there's nothing wrong with profit, but the amount of influence our government has on that is insane. Okay, we'll just leave it at that. Today I want to answer a question. I've had quite a few questions coming to me, and I was off for a few days, and I see that I have a lot of questions that have come in on the Patreon side. For those of you who are on Patreon, if you're not on Patreon, you can come join us. That lets you send me questions, send me messages and questions on specific things that you might want to know about. I'll put the link down below in case you'd like to come over there. And I put a lot of other stuff up there on Patreon too. I think I put up something from Elon Musk, and I'll put up stuff from Treasury and different economic and financial sources, just to kind of help you see, what the overall bubble is looking like. Okay, it's important to keep on top of that stuff so you kind of know what to expect. It doesn't really affect what you're going to be doing on a daily basis. And we're getting to a question now about buying a house that it can affect it, but regardless of what the big issues are, your issues should always be making more money, building your business, and keeping track of the money. Your money, your spending power is what makes the difference in so much of your quality of life. Now, we're not going to diminish the importance of the spiritual quality, but when it comes into the mental and emotional state, what the difference can be in your mental and your emotional equilibrium, depending on whether you're making enough money or not, and if you're not, get on it. Because you can do it. I talked the other day about the energy, the excitement, the enthusiasm of entrepreneurship. You can do it. Don't doubt yourself. Don't let anybody hold you back. Okay, today's question. I have a few. Actually, I had one I was going to answer today, but I kind of jumped over it to get to this one because this is so important. And this is one that I see a lot of young people dealing with this. And it comes from Dave Ramsey. It's another one of those things that Ramsey just misleads people on terribly, and I hate to see it. But I'm going to explain all about it, and I'm going to give you the numbers. The good thing about doing this and being able to get my questions here is that if I need to sit down and put numbers together to show people, I can do it, and then I don't have to waste your time by scratching it out on my scratch pad here while you're watching. I'll read you the letter here. It says, "Hi Steve, been watching a few of your videos. Hope you can settle a disagreement my wife and I are having." When I got that far, I go, about buying a house. Okay. He's a 26-year-old police officer. His wife is 24. She's a nurse working part-time. They have a 2-year-old and are hoping for another one, I guess, coming along. He doesn't say whether soon or not. Here's his question. Our question is about buying the house, a house. I want to buy a house. Now, he doesn't say, I assume they're living in an apartment because they're wanting to buy a house. I want to buy a house now, but my wife wants to wait. She listens to Dave Ramsey, and as soon as I heard that, bells started going off. And I go, okay, I see what the problem is. I see what the problem is. Don't worry, I'm gonna give you the solution to the problem in dollars and cents here in a minute. And so she listens to Dave Ramsey and thinks we should save until we can pay cash for a house. Good luck on that. Okay. Or at least have enough to put a sizable down payment on it. Also, she is totally against us having any credit, which I have explained to her, as I've heard you say, yes, that will cause us to pay a higher interest rate when we do buy a home. We would appreciate your opinion on this. Thank you. Signed, Justin. Justin and Mrs. Justin. Let me approach this. I know that a lot of people are Ramseyites and have heard this over and over and over and over again. If there's one thing that I wish he'd stop, it's probably that. I wish he'd stop a lot of things, to be honest. He misleads people. And Dave Ramsey is for those who really haven't developed a personal sense of responsibility or who have gotten themselves in horrible financial problems. And I guess his way of going at things can help with that. You know, if you're $150,000 in debt, then do what Ramsey says. But most people aren't like that. Most people, here we have a young couple, you know, they didn't tell me exactly what their finances were, but since they didn't put anything horrible in there, I'm going to assume that it's normal. It's okay. Let's say about this normal. So Justin, I hope that your wife is watching this with you. How much do you think you could save? Now, on a policeman's salary, I used to be a policeman. They make a lot better money than when I was on, but I know what they make. You know, pretty much. A nurse, I also know what they make, and I know what they make part-time. You're not rolling in money. Okay, so first thing, I hope that you're thinking about a side gig or a little business on the side that you all can start generating some more money. But let's just look at the dollars and cents here, okay? To be able to buy a house for cash, maybe when you're 80, okay? And maybe never if this is the way you're going at it, and you'll see why here in a second. To wait until you have a sizable down payment, which most people would say that 20% is a normal down payment. So I don't know what, you know, if you're thinking about 40%, 50%, I don't know. But let's, you know, just think 20%. Let's think 20%, okay? So if she thinks, I don't want to buy a house, and then I hope I'll get back to this credit situation, until we have a 20% down payment. Now you can do it without that. You know, there's all sorts of people. You put down 20% to avoid paying PMI, okay, mortgage insurance. But many people buy homes by taking out two mortgages, okay? One to pay the 20% and another to pay the rest of it. It's normal in the real estate finance business. Simple as that. But let's take a look at the figures here, okay? Now, if you can save, okay, so you need, what, $80,000? Can you even save $10,000 a year on your salary and her salary? Then with a kid, it doesn't sound like she's going to go be going back full time. So a part-time nurse is probably going to be about it, right? So can you save $10,000 a year? That's how long is that going to take you to save $80,000? Okay, well, 8 years, right? Okay, we got that. That's simple. Let's take a look at what happens to that house in probably, I would say 10 years, because you know what? Life happens. Things happen. Kids are expensive. They are expensive. Okay, so let's say that we're going to start here, and we're going to say, okay, we're going to live in an apartment, and have that money just throw it away. We're not going to. It's not going to be invested in anything. Just every month that we make that rent payment, we're just giving it to somebody to let us live there. Okay, it's not an investment. It's an expense. So the average home price in the United States right now is $428,700. I just looked this up so that I would know what to work from with yours. Okay, I'd say that's pretty normal around here. It's going to be that. Could you get something from less than that? Yeah, you can get a piece of junk for less than that. Even if you could get down to $300,000, you're not getting much of a house. Let's call it 400. Okay, just to make it easier. Average appreciation of real estate, of homes, over the last 25 years has been 3.9%. 3.9. So let's call it 4. Okay. Now, different areas appreciate more than others. You'll find when you start getting into the real nuts and bolts, one street next to another street will appreciate more or less than the other street. One side of a street can appreciate at a different rate, or depreciate at a different rate, although it takes a crash to depreciate it, more or less than the other side of the street. It's amazing. Where I live, we have appreciated anywhere between 5 and 10%, okay, over the last 20 years. Okay, so I'm going to use some figures. You might want to get a pen and a paper and put down average home is, just call it $400,000. Okay, and you want to put 20% down. That's $80,000, right? Is that not right? Am I doing that right? 10. Yeah. Okay. Right now, the house is $400,000. You're going to continue living in your apartment. Next year, it's going to be valued at $416,000. Okay. The second year, it's going to be valued at $432,640. See, because appreciation happens as a result of inflation. Okay. The third year, that house that today is worth $400,000 is going to be worth $449,945.60. Call it $450,000. 4 years from now, $468,000. I'm rounding this off. 943 actually. You'll forgive me for rounding it off. The fifth year, 5 years down the road, we're coming in on it, right? $486,661. The sixth year, $506,127. Seventh year, $526,372,000. The eighth year, when you are hoping to have had your $80,000, right? $547,426,000. If we take it out to 10 years, that house is worth right at $600,000. Okay, so the house that you can buy right now for $400,000 in 8 years, when you think you're saving up, and in 10 years I'm going to save real hard, and good luck if you can do that. If you can save $10,000 a year with a kid and one on the way, and at your current salaries and all that, you have blown $150,000 past what that house was going to cost. You got your $80,000. Well, guess what? That house, you put that $80,000, it's worth $70,000 more. I mean, it's worth $147,000, but you see what I'm getting at. Your $80,000 that you're able to save is not your 20% anymore. Okay? Not. What's happened is you're basing everything on everything working perfectly. that the houses are not going to appreciate, but you're going to be able to save at a constant rate. That doesn't usually happen. And here's why I hate Mr. Ramsey leading people down this primrose path. What you have given up, you've given up two very important things. You have now, because you've waited 8 years, you have given up $147,426 in appreciation, in equity. You've given that up. You've given up close to $150,000 in potential equity from the appreciation, the normal appreciation of that home. If you take it out to 10 years, you've given up $192,000, almost $200,000 in appreciation that you would have gotten if you bought the house now. During that time, you have been throwing your rent away. You've got a place to stay, right? Yeah, but it's kind of like a somewhat cheaper Holiday Inn. You're not investing in anything. You're not getting ownership of anything. You get no return on it. Once you move out of there, there's nothing. All you have is canceled checks. Well, you don't use checks. That's old. That's in my day. All you have is all those receipts of money that you spent instead of investing. Okay, you didn't invest it. You spent it. If you'd put it in the house, and a $400,000 house, you're gonna. I don't know what you're paying in rent now, but most people can handle it. You would have invested, and you would have, in 8 years, gotten a $147,000 return on your investment. But here's the thing, and here's what the Ramseyites say: I don't want to pay all that interest, but I'm paying interest. No, you're not. Do you think you're paying interest on this money? You're not. Well, yes, Steve, but whenever I get my loan, it says that I have this amount of interest that I have to pay. And whenever you get your mortgage statements, it'll show, look, this much goes towards the interest, this much goes towards the principal, this much goes toward, escrow and taxes and such as that. Well, that's right. That's right. But guess what you get to do with that? You get to deduct your mortgage interest off your taxes. Now, when the reality hits you, you're going to go, whoa, wait a minute. So every dime that you've paid in interest, you get back in your tax returns. Do you see that? You're not paying the interest. Everybody else in the world is paying the interest because they've written the tax code that you can deduct your mortgage interest off your first and your second home. You want to know another secret here? I'll throw this in. When you start to make real money, if you want to buy a boat, and you can do 3 things on that boat. You can cook on it, you can sleep on it, and you can go to the bathroom in it. That qualifies as a second home. You can write all them mortgage. You can write that off as a second home, mortgage interest off that boat. I know we're getting beyond, but people don't understand the tax codes and how it can be very, very helpful. Okay, so you're not paying a dime in interest. I know that's when I explain this to people, they go, "Well, that just doesn't make sense. I just don't understand it." Well, you might not understand it, but it makes sense because it's in the tax code. Now, whether it's right or wrong, I don't know. That's a moral issue. We're not dealing with moral issues here. They wrote the tax code that says at the end of the year, you're going to get your statement from your mortgage company. It's going to say you paid X amount in mortgage interest. You're going to take that right off your taxes. And there are 2 things. Now, I don't know if you guys are doing long form now, meaning you're itemizing your taxes or not. There are 2 things that go into enabling you to really go long form and itemize on your taxes. And that's when you start getting control of your money, real control of your money through your taxes. And that is having kids and having a mortgage. Okay, that's what it takes to meet that threshold for the most part. You can do it other ways, but those are the 2 main ways that most people hit that threshold of being able to itemize. Okay, so now you're taking off all your standard deductions, plus you're taking off all the mortgage interest that you've paid. So do you see, and you can go and look up online what's called an amortization schedule. And it's whether you go 30 years or 15 years. Most people, and I would suggest go with a 15-year mortgage if you can. There are reasons to go 30 years. Dave Ramsey will say absolutely not, but Dave doesn't know everything. You have to understand that. Dave is, he doesn't know everything. Matter of fact, he's wrong about a lot of stuff. There are reasons to go 30 years. I'm not going to get into that right now. But look at an amortization schedule, and what that will tell you is how much each month through the 15-year term or 30-year term of your mortgage, how much each month goes to interest and how much goes to principal. And you will see for the first few years, it's almost all going to interest. I mean, a lot will be going to taxes and insurance and stuff like that, but all of it's going to interest. Now, when you hit about halfway through it, now each succeeding month, more goes to principal, less goes to interest, but just little bits at a time. It moves real slow. When you're about halfway through it, now it's flipping to where more's going on the principal and less is going on interest. For the first few years that you're paying a mortgage, essentially you're just paying the taxes and the insurance, because all that money that you have, the rest of it is mostly interest, and all of that comes back to you on your taxes while you're living in the house that you are now realizing increase in your investment. Okay? The first year, you've listened to this again. The first year we're starting at $400,000. The first year, you've made $16,000. The second year, $32,000. The third year, $49,000, $50,000. This is not in addition. This is cumulative. Okay. The fourth year, you're up to $68,000. The fifth year, $86,000. The sixth year, $106,000. Okay, it keeps going. So anyway. I confused myself with where I wrote that down. But that's the way that it works. You have to accept this. You have to understand this. By waiting until you have a down payment, first off, you're going to be paying a whale of a lot more for a house. The amount that you thought you needed for a down payment isn't going to be near as much as you actually do for a down payment, and you're going to miss off on anywhere from $150,000 to $200,000 in realized increase in your appreciation on your house. So Mr. Ramsey. Anyway, that's the truth. I hope that sit this down. Let your wife do the figures on this. Your calculator works the same as mine. The last thing you mentioned something about a credit here. Oh yeah. Also, she's totally against us having any credit, which I explained to her, as I've heard you say, that you cause us to pay a higher interest rate. Yeah, when you do buy a home. Exactly right. If you don't have credit, all the Ramsey cult, they hate credit because he got himself into credit problems, and that's the majority of his followers also did. And like I say, for those people, he's helped a whole bunch get out of debt. But once you're out, you need to have developed some responsibility. Now you can call your own shots. How am I doing on time? Got a couple of minutes. Yes, you need good credit. That means you need credit. Okay? And because when you finally do go, you're not buying a house for cash. Ever. In any house that you'd want to live in this country. And once you do go, they're going to say, okay, well, we pulled your credit reporting, you don't have any. So guess what you get? You get the prize. You get to pay maximum interest. Now, how good does that plan sound? Here's the thing to do. Build your credit. Build good credit. I put an article on the Patreon channel. Again, it's a good reason to be on the Patreon channel, and I said the link is down below. I put an article over there about a young girl who was very smart, who built her credit When she got out of college, she took out a $2,000 personal loan that she didn't need. She put it in a savings account, and she had it the payments for that loan automatically deducted from that savings account to pay that loan off over a period of a couple of years. And guess what? Did she pay a little bit in interest? Yeah, she paid a little bit in interest. None that mattered, none that bothered her. And as a result, she ended up with great credit. Okay. So essentially, she spent a few dollars to get great credit. She bought great credit. So when she went to buy a house, if she did, or if you will do that and you go buy a house, they'll say, hey, you guys, you've got great credit. So instead of this other couple that had no credit and gets to pay huge interest rate, you get to pay a little tiny interest rate. Good for you. You get to pay 2.5%, 3%. These other yahoos, they get to pay 9% interest or more. So anyway, that's what it's all about. Buy your house when you can. Is there a good time to buy a house? Bad time to buy a house? Yeah, right now, the housing prices are depressed, which is good for you if you're buying a house because the interest rates have gone up, and people buy houses according to what they can afford the monthly payment for. Okay, so as the interest rates go up, the realtors have to and the sellers have to lower the prices of the houses in order to get people to buy them, in order to get a monthly payment they can afford. So good, you're in a pretty good time right now. Do you want to jump on it? I'm not sure that I would get into the real estate market right now if I were investing in it, because I think we're still in for some rough times. But the next year is going to see. So what I would suggest is you start looking around at things. Get with your wife. Sit down and talk about this stuff. Hopefully she'll understand it. Get her to understand it. This is the smart way to do it. Hopefully you guys can get on the same page, because I would hate for you to go along with that Ramsey stuff and be kicking yourselves down the road and find out, in 10 years, gee, this stuff just doesn't work like he said it did, because it doesn't. Okay, Justin, best of luck to you. Best of luck to your wife. You stay safe. Those streets out there, I would not want to be a police officer today. You stay safe. I know a lot of people in nursing. Hope she stays safe and well and raise those kiddos. And as they get old enough to start understanding these things, start teaching them about personal finance and economics and things like I've started on my kids years ago, and they could have explained. I got one that could explain this to you right now. But best of luck to you. And I'll get to those other questions later on. You all have a good day. Remember, your prosperity is in your hands. Don't follow some Pied Piper. Check what they're saying. Does it make sense? Trust your own smarts. And if you don't think you know enough about something, don't just follow what somebody says, including me. Go figure it out. Run the numbers yourself. Think about it. Learn about finance. And then compare what you've heard. Use things like what you hear from people like me to direct you in the direction. And say, is what this guy said right? You'll find that it is. And take control of your life. That's what it's all about. Okay. You all have a good day. I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.